Hey, my name's Xenu, and you're listening to Anti Moonboy News. Got a great episode for you guys today. We're going to be talking about the Litecoin reorg again. That's right, we got some more information, because apparently the exploit already happened, and there was negotiations with the threat actors. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to go over the Bitcoin conference. I mean, I'm not going to really talk about the specific speeches and all that, or presentations. But we'll be talking in general about some things that happened during it. Some positive and some negative. So we're going to go over that. And of course, we'll be giving the latest in digital cash, such as the upcoming Monero beta. So lots to talk about today. Of course, please subscribe if you like the content. Give me a like, comment for the algorithm. You can also go to xmrchat.com/Xenu to donate to the program. We got 3 donations this week. Thank you guys. We'll get to that at the end of the show. Or you can buy my merch. Go to antimoonboy.com/merch. And we're chipping away at that. Hopefully we can get some new shirts in soon. But I do need to sell some more before we get to that point. Now, before we get to the news, though, a couple things. First, some awesome news, and that is that Darknet Market Maximalism is now available to read in Spanish. This was translated by my good pal, Enigmatic, and it's awesome. I mean, he did a great job with it. If you want, you can now read it in Spanish, and eventually at some point I'm just going to record a podcast where I just, like a MP3, so people can download and share that, because I know people like that for English. I'm just a little shy. I'm a little shy with my accent, and I want to get a little better before. I'm a little pussy, that's what it is. You know what, really, honestly, if you want me to do it, just start bullying me. And eventually, if I just get bullied enough, I'll do it. So, anyways, it is available to read now, though. So check that out at antimoonboy.com/DNM Spanish. Or you can go to the Darknet Market Maximalism page, and there's a hyperlink that's right at the top there. So, well, that is awesome. Now, that leads me to my next point about the RSS feed. It's back up now, and I want to issue an apology to my listeners. I did not realize how many people just use the RSS feed. I know it's retarded in me, but I was just being lazy with it. And I've had, honest to God, 7 different people reach out to me and thank me for putting it back on. A lot of different people who are basically upset with me. So again, if I'm not doing something right, this is a one-man operation. You gotta just sound the alarm and just bully me, call me a retard. That'll get my attention. So I apologize for that happening, and I will prioritize the RSS feed going forward, because I know people care about that. It will be on Apple Podcast, whatever, soon. I have to figure out why it's not working because of the long story. So anyway, I got to figure that out, but it will be on Apple soon, so I'm going to try to get that done, because that's been requested as well. So apologies about the RSS feed. I'm working on stuff right now. All right. With that out of the way, let's get to the news. And the big story this week was Litecoin and their admission of the reorg bug that occurred actually already happened. So it says here, summary. In March 2026, Litecoin developers identified a critical validation bug in Litecoin's Mimblewimble extension block implementation. The bug allowed a block producer to construct a mined block containing a Mimblewimble input, which supplied metadata did not match the actual UTXO being spent. Because this metadata was not fully revalidated during block connection, a malicious block can make a small Mimblewimble input appear to support a much larger pegout. And yeah, I'm going to pause there. So if you look at a Litecoin block, at the very last block or the very last transaction in the block is the Mimblewimble pool, okay? And so basically, you kind of like go into the pool and then you jump out of it. That's their workaround for optional privacy. So what this bug did is it allowed people to extract more from that pool than what they should have been able to extract. Moving on, a chain scan showed that the vulnerability had already been exploited once at block height 3,073,882. An attacker used a malicious Mimblewimble input to peg out 85,000 Litecoin. Developers moved quickly to coordinate an emergency miner-only rollout, prevent further exploitation, freeze the 3 resulting transparent outputs, and contact the actor. The actor later cooperated by signing a recovery transaction that returned the funds except for an agreed 850 Litecoin bounty. Charlie purchased 850 Litecoin to cover the bounty, which was added to the recovered amount. The total amount was then pegged back in the Mimblewimble, and the resulting Mimblewimble output was frozen to restore the balance. In April 2026, a second attacker or tester attempted to use the same original exploit path. This time, upgraded nodes rejected the bad block, but the way mutated Mimblewimble blocks were handled caused certain RPC commands to hang, including those used by miners to submit mined blocks. This meant upgraded mining nodes became stuck or unable to continue normal mining operations. Unupgraded miners continued extending the bad chain, resulting in a 13-block invalid chain. That was later reorged out after upgraded miners coordinated on the valid chain. This April incident affected some third-party services, including Thorchain and Near related infrastructure. And yeah, I think the total amount that Near got wrecked on was like $600,000. So it definitely affected them a lot. Thorchain, their validator nodes voted to like shut the chain or shut the Litecoin portion down because of this exploit happening or something like that. Near was the one that actually really got wrecked on this one. I don't know if they got paid back for what it's worth. I don't think they did. So they're not too happy right now, obviously. So I don't know what's going on with that, but it just goes to show you that these CoinSwap kind of platforms, they can also get wrecked, especially by an exploit such as this. Now, I want to take a second to talk about what Litecoin did fine with, and well with, I would say, and then what they completely ate shit on. And just to clarify to anyone listening to this program, I got nothing against Litecoin. I actually used it last week, believe it or not. I use Litecoin somewhat regularly. It's basically my way of using a low fee transaction to go into Monero, which happens from time to time. That's kind of the purpose I see for Litecoin, and it does a good job with that. It's available pretty much everywhere, easy to use. I use it with Cakewallet, usually. Here's the thing, though. I'm looking at the response timeline right now, right? And this is what I see. I'm going to just read the headlines. I'm not going to go into too much detail of what happened for each one, but just here it is. March 2026. And on the 19th, a vulnerability identified and chain scan confirms exploitation. So they've realized, oh, this got exploited. March 19th and the 20th, emergency miner coordination and 0.21.5/0.21.5.1 rollout. So basically, they patched it immediately, and they went to miners to coordinate this. So far, so good. There's nothing wrong with their response so far. March 20 to the 24th, attempted spend blocked, recovery plan prepared. So it looks like they were, during this period, they were contacting the actor, trying to rectify things. Again, I think they're doing everything completely fine right now. March 24th, they had another patch that was rolled out, and the recovery transaction was mined. March 25th, the rebalancing peg-in was mined. And March 26th, permanent fix and hardening prepared. The next update is on April 25th, when a new exploit attempt happened. And this actor, what they did is they DDoSed the mining nodes, and then the other miners, they validated the block because they hadn't updated. So basically, for 30 days, they didn't do anything. Or maybe they were doing things behind the scenes, but they clearly were making no progress because there's no update. Like I'm looking at the timeline right now. There's nothing. And like, what the fuck were they doing? That's just inexcusable, man. What it seems to me what happened was they wanted to kind of try to bury this. I don't think they wanted to like publicize this, and they got caught with their pants down because this other exploit happened, and it was the same thing. And so, anyways, now they're coming out and saying, okay, actually, the exploit already did happen before. So at least they're admitting it. But it's just like, why didn't they just come out and say this happened? Because then that would have just motivated the rest of the nodes to switch over, right? So they basically were not saying anything, got caught with their pants down, and then this other exploit happens. And because of this, that exchange got basically robbed. So they're pissed off, and they look terrible. And so it gets worse though. So that happened. I mean, like for example, let's look at what they say went well. You know, they say the original vulnerability was identified. The inflated March outputs were still intact when discovered. Mining pools responded quickly. During the April incident, upgrade miners coordinated quickly to overtake the invalid chain and reorg out the blocks. Okay. They didn't prevent the April incident. So I don't know how that went well. So, I mean, what went well here was like they responded great at first. And then they kind of just did nothing. I heard one developer say that they were doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes and like it just nothing really happened. I don't know. But it's just a bad look for them. Well, it gets worse though. So then this was on Twitter. So after this news got kind of leaked basically for the exploit that happened, someone noticed it. It went on Twitter. This is what the Litecoin Twitter said. I swear to God, I'm reading this. This is an actual screenshot. They deleted this tweet afterwards, but this is what they tweeted out in response to this exploit being discovered. The April one. It says here, in layman's terms, the plumbing was working throughout the entire process. New blocks were still being created, new transactions were still being validated, and orphan blocks were pushed to the side while maintaining full integrity of the entire chain. This is a feature, not a bug. Reorgs are the chain's natural opportunity through nodes to act as white blood cells, kill the parasites/bacteria, and send them through the poop chute like they were never there, allowing the body to continue functioning nonstop as if it never happened. They actually tweeted that. Like, this is not the time to make a fucking poop joke here. What the fuck is this? I mean, god damn, dude. That's just embarrassing. And so, I mean, they deleted the tweet. I think they apologized. They deleted those tweets too. I don't know what fucking social media retard is handling this stuff. That's a bad look, though. It's like they're not taking this seriously, apparently, or the Twitter wasn't. And you know, hopefully that person got fired. And I'm not just attacking the Litecoin Twitter. I've attacked the Monero Twitter plenty of times in the past. Go look up my rant. Actually, it happened, I think, a year ago, almost to the day. It was April 2025. I think, where Rucknium posted the Yaspeed findings. And the Monero Twitter never even published that report that Rucknium made. I mean, it's like, what the fuck are they posting? You know? This is really important. Ring signatures suck. We should let people know that, hey, be a little more careful. But they don't. They just kind of ignored everything. So likewise here, Litecoin is downplaying this major exploit and how their developers, you know, looked like they were being lazy and sitting on their hands this entire time. So anyway, that's the Litecoin story. Not good. Pretty embarrassing. But you know, this is crypto. Like, most people don't really give a shit about this anyways. They'll be fine. You know, like people don't actually use crypto. You know what I mean? Like, I think it went down like 1% on the day, and then it's like fine now, right? But like this is just crypto, and you know, it's a bad look for Litecoin though, because I don't know what they were doing for that entire month, but they weren't doing anything, and they should be called out for that, for sure. Because yeah, this is not me like being unfair to Litecoin. I saw, because I made a tweet about this too, and I got that criticism from a few Litecoin guys like, about me, being tribalistic or whatever. It's like, no, I'm like this with Monero too. It's just that they had an embarrassing reaction to this, and they just weren't. They didn't think they would get attacked again, and they did. So, okay, let's move on to the next topic: the Bitcoin conference. So this happened this past week. I didn't watch any of the presentations. I'm sure most people did not. Was it even streaming? I mean, you just look at the headline of like who's speaking at this, and it's like Fed, fraud, Fed, fraud, Fed, piece of shit, Adam back. Like it's just like down the list. Like everyone sucks ass. Not saying that everyone there was bad. I'm sure there were a lot of cool people still there, but like it just kind of shows you how much Bitcoin has degraded. Gotta be honest with you guys though. The Twitter reaction to this conference was pretty damn negative from Bitcoiners. We're definitely in a bear market right now because there was a lot of negative energy, which was kind of a white pill. I mean, I did see a bunch of people still talking about, oh, you're a shitcoin kind of stuff. But like overall, I do feel like the shift is it's pretty much already happening. Where because we've had diminishing returns over and over again, we're kind of reaching this like turning point where the majority of people are now going to become digital cash users. People who actually aren't afraid to use cryptocurrency. Maybe a lot of them are still holders, but they're people who like actually want to improve something like Lightning Network. And that will be the best thing that'll happen to Bitcoin. I've said this time and time again. The best thing to happen to Bitcoin is if the price just matures and doesn't go up 10x every time, that's what's been happening. Because it's going to drive out the Moonboys. The Moonboys are going to go after Sailor's shit coins, his stretch or whatever. They're going to all flock to whatever high yield, whatever. And Bitcoin can actually start improving because this is the way it's going to improve. It's through normalcy. Okay, cryptocurrency exists, less volatility. It would be fantastic for Bitcoin. So anyway, I gotta say, I saw a lot of very positive comments from people who I normally don't really like. But I'm a straight shooter. I'll be honest here. I saw a lot of good comments, which was great. A lot of people bemoaning the fact that they had the FBI Indian guy. I honestly forget his name. Kash Patel. Is that his name? Who fucking cares? That guy. Who is he with too? Oh man. How little of a fuck I give about the government right now. I don't even know. That's funny. Anyways, he was on stage they're idiots. And honestly, the crowd was pretty damn small. Like no one went to it. Now, it's not to say though that, Bitcoin is saved or anything. The next day, Michael Saylor had a presentation and it was fucking packed in there. They were all throwing babies up in the air. It was like, whatever. So it's still, Saylor, even though he's starting to get shit on more, he still has this cult of personality around him. And that's what has to fall for Bitcoin to really start improving. And he will eventually go down. But we gotta wait probably another couple of years for these payments to start ratcheting up. And he's such a fraud, he's going to just keep ramping up these payments to get more liquidity coming in, and it's going to get harder and harder to pay these things, and eventually everything falls under. If you weren't aware, he's paying these yields by more money coming in, which is a Ponzi scheme. Like it's literally what's happening. So everyone can see this happening, and everyone's trying to cope with it. And eventually it's going to fall because Bitcoin has shown time and time again, really past 2 bull runs, that there's diminishing returns. So it's not going to be 10xing forever, guys. That doesn't mean you shouldn't, buy Bitcoin as an investment. It just means like you're probably not going to get like a, 10x within a couple years. Or maybe you will. I don't know. It's looking less likely though. So that was that. Oh yeah, Todd Blanche. That's what his name is. Yeah, he had comments on developer protections, which were terrible. because they're lying through their teeth. They're lying across the board, because here you have a situation where they keep saying about how pro-Bitcoin their administration is. They're so pro-Bitcoin, and yet we have software developers in jail. We have software developers fighting in the courts. It's just, they clearly don't actually care about protections for freedom of speech, First Amendment. Code is free speech. They don't really give a shit. This is a tweet from Lola Leitz. Shout out. Talking about Todd Blanche's comments. What Blanche really announced yesterday, because Blanche made some comments about being, very kind to Bitcoin developers and stuff. What Blanche really announced yesterday is that the DOJ continues to seek and intentionally create the legal circumstance to continue to prosecute non-custodial developers. How? By making a single important distinction. Knowingly transmitting illegal funds will continue to be a crime in the United States, whether you have custody of the funds or not. And this is what's happening to Roman Storm right now. This means that anyone sending a non-custodial developer an email, message, or XDM on knowledge of illicit use could send you to prison for decades to come. Worse, even Googling a hack could be used to construe criminal liability. How do we know this? Because it's exactly what they're doing to Roman Storm. Non-custodial developers transmit funds, and thereby knowing of the transmission of illicit proceeds creates criminal liability for sanctions evasion, for money laundering, and for money transmission laws, carrying a total of up to 45 years in prison. If I were developing a non-custodial software in the United States, I would get out as fast as I can. This is what Lola's saying. If I wasn't in the United States, I would make sure to not make my software available to U.S. users, and sure to not do anything at all, to give these psychopaths jurisdiction. The U.S. is not a safe place for Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, the thing about that is, like, the United States is kind of the standard for, like, how the world works, because we run this shit, Anyway, but like, seriously, like, if laws pass in the United States, generally speaking, Europe's going to follow, and it's going to kind of set the standard. And so the United States has made their position clear. Both administrations have been on these, non-custodial platforms like hawks, and it's going to only escalate from here. They're going to start going after coin swap sites. They're going to start going after wallets. Non-custodial wallets. It's inevitable, guys. So we have to dig in. We can't just let the foot off the gas now. No, we got to dig in, because this is only going to get worse. Now that leads me to, this is from Nosphere on Twitter. This is where I saw this for the first time. Lauren Emily, who is the wife of Keone Rodriguez, was actually escorted out of the conference. She's a speaker there. But she was part of a Free Samourai protest, and they actually took her out of the conference. I mean, her husband, as Nosphere points out, is a Bitcoin developer in prison right now for open source code. And they're kicking out his wife, who is later speaking at the same conference. So, when you hear how Bitcoin friendly, crypto friendly this administration is, keep that in mind, because they really don't give a shit. All they care about is appeasing their donors. That's really all they care about. It's not about crypto. It's about who is lobbying for them. Because if you recall, the amount of lobbying going on in crypto with this administration was massive, and they're getting a lot of what they wanted. Last thing I wanted to mention with the conference, Cakewallet apparently won Wallet of the Year. I actually don't have a news story. Like, I just saw a tweet, so that might not be true, but winning Wallet of the Year at the Bitcoin conference, that's pretty cool. And, Cakewallet, they're doing a lot of great work right now. I haven't tried out their Lightning Network implementation. I want to do some research on that before I even use it. Apparently, it's pretty good, though. So, shout out to them for at least improving Lightning Network. Obviously, it's not perfect, but it is improving. slowly, it is improving. And maybe we'll have some sort of, easy to use implementation in the future that is, free, open source, not invasive, because we are getting there. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, for Bitcoin to get to that point, it has to get over this hump of not being digital gold or digital real estate. You have to get back to digital cash. People don't really care about that. I'm generalizing here, but most people buying into Bitcoin, you want to know why Michael Saylor's presentation was like sold out, everyone was there? It's because that's what's drawing people to Bitcoin conferences. Number go up. And that's really the story of Bitcoin right now. We're just kind of slowly seeing that deteriorate. And eventually, the only people left will be the people who are idealistic, or at least the majority. And then that's when we can start improving. I'm not giving up on Bitcoin, guys. I'm not. I'm hard on it because I care. But it sucks ass compared to Monero right now. And that's just what it is. All right, well, that is the Bitcoin conference part. Let's get to our sponsors. And our first sponsor this week, anonraffle.com. This is a new site where you can buy a raffle ticket. There's 100 available for each payout. And if you win based on the hash of the Monero, you'll win the prize. Very straightforward. I did a couple of them. The website is awesome. It's got these goofy sound effects. I'm a sucker for the sound effects. Love them. But it's also just very slick. I really like this site. And they have different payouts where there's a 0.1 XMR payout. So the buy-in price is pretty low for that. It's only, 0.0011 XMR. So you can gobble up a lot of different stuff, different squares there. And then they got higher ones, though. They got one for lunch money, which is a 1 XMR payout. Rent money, it's a 5 XMR payout with a 0.0526 XMR buy-in. You can take a look at that. They also got firearms, which is legal in the United States. Look into the... there's a whole write-out of like how they do this and how the payouts work if you're in Europe and you happen to win, because they can't ship over to Europe. But if you're in if you're in the United States and you're in a state where it's legal, you'll get a firearm. How cool is that? So anyways, this is awesome. It's a great website. I tried it out a couple times, and they give back to the community 10% of the funds that they receive of all gross platform profits are donated back to the CCS General Fund. How awesome is that? So anonraffle.com. Check it out today. Up next, we got monero.forum. Now, monero.forum, they've donated a lot to this show over the years. So you know what I did? I went over there. I figured I'd say hi to the monero.forum people. And it's a great site. It's a great little message board. It's up and coming. And, what I really like about the site is it's got that old school message board vibe. That kind of, it's not like an image board. It's more like the boomer message board stuff. You guys miss that? I miss those days. So it's a very straightforward website. All the latest Monero news, topics, or whatever discussion are there. I'm posting there too. So you can see me. You can talk about how much you love me. You can reply to me and say, hey, I love you, Xenu. And I'll be like, hey, thank you. What else? You can tip on the site. Very simple to use tipping function. And you can make a thread, do whatever. And that's at monero.forum. Check it out today. It is a great alternative to Reddit, because Reddit stinks, and we need more sites like this, right? We need more sites that get the community together and engaging with each other in different ways, and Monero.forum does a great job with that. And last but not least, WebWipe. Oh, WebWipe. Yes, we love WebWipe here on Anti Moonboy News. And the thing about the WebWipe is they are a company that you can reach out to and say, hey, I need you to find all the information you can about me. Give me a consultation. How can I remove that picture from me in graduation and, when I was in high school where they have my name next to it? I don't want that information out there. Well, they will go and find that. They'll find your embarrassing usernames. They'll find all the dirt about you, and they'll tell you what you should do, and they'll give you recommendations, and they'll help you remove all those footprints out of these internet searches. Because that's the thing. Like, we didn't realize what we were doing back in the day. We had no idea. I didn't know that these tweets I'd be making would last forever. What actually happened to me? This happened to me like 3-4 years ago. Actually, no, it happened when I made this Twitter account. I found out that there was a Twitter that I had when I was in college way back when, and it had my name on it and like all these tweets. I didn't have my last name, thank God, but like people who I was friends with were on there. And then like all these tweets I made, some of them were inappropriate. I'm like, gee, what the hell is this? This is sticking around too? And you'd be surprised, okay? You'd be surprised how often things like that slip through the cracks because you were dumb. You were naive before you were a privacy advocate, right? We had no idea what we were doing. We were kids, Anyway, WebWipe, they're going to go and look and find all that information, and they're going to say, hey, we should fix this. And they also will dig up your crypto if you've lost your seed phrase. Well, not your entire seed phrase, but maybe like you lost a couple words. They'll figure it out and find your crypto, and you can get all that, Bitcoin or Monero you have back safely in your wallet. So webwipe.io, check them out. And also, well, they're having a meetup today, basically. So I'm a little late. So, sorry about that. But May 5th, they were having a meetup at Consensus Miami. So hopefully you're there, and maybe they're going to have some content from that. Fingers crossed that they do. But yeah, webwipe.io or on X at webwipemedown. All right, well, let's keep trucking here. We're on the Rage for a breakdown of transcripts of Roman Storm and what's happening right now. And the title is Acquittal for Storm, breaking down the government's exotic theories. At last week's hearing for Tornado Cash, developer Roman Storm, the government presented theories against Storm's acquittal that, at points, seemed to defy basic logic. This article is by Lola Leitz. It says here, last Thursday, a court in the Southern District of New York heard the government and defense on Tornado Cash developer Roman Storm's motion for acquittal, which will decide whether Storm will be taken to a retrial, if his guilty charge will be vacated. Following his conviction on one charge to conspire to operate an unlicensed money service business, Storm's counsel filed a so-called Rule 29 motion that would allow the court to vacate the developer's conviction if it found that the evidence presented at trial was legally insufficient. Discussions at Thursday's hearing focused mainly on whether SDNY was the correct jurisdiction for the case to be brought, which in turn touched on a range of issues critics have taken with Storm's prosecution. At points, even Judge Failla cautioned the prosecution. The court's discussion on venue, whether any overt act of criminal conspiracy actually took place in New York, the Southern District of New York, thereby giving prosecutors jurisdiction, quickly divulged into three important cases of the case: the separation between the Tornado Cash user interface and the actual protocol, whether Tornado Cash transferred funds, as well as whether Tornado Cash was operated with criminal intent. At the center, first stood discussions on payments made to Infura, a hosting service used widely across the Ethereum ecosystem, which according to the defense did not actually touch bank accounts held in New York, as Storm had paid Infura in cryptocurrency. Plus, Infura was only used to host the UI, which was not essential to access the Tornado Cash protocol, Storm's lawyer Brian Klein pointed out. Did it have to be essential to be an overact? Failla asked, describing that as a material furtherance that I'm not sure I agree with. It's a non-essential tool, Your Honor. It's a neutral tool, Klein said, explaining that the difference between the Tornado Cash UI as a tool to access the protocol and the protocol itself were fundamental. So it's not a tool designed specifically to engage in money laundering. Legitimate users could use and did use it. She had seen the neutral tool arguments made by the defense. Failla responded, but that was something she had not seen in case law. I think the government will tell me that you are slicing the salami too thinly, she predicted, addressing Klein's insisting on technical details. And indeed, the government appeared to make no distinction between the UI and the protocol in its arguments at all. discussing emails sent by the lawyer of the cryptocurrency exchange Bitmart, who was based in New York, and it asked Storm for assistance in recovering stolen funds that allegedly flowed from Tornado Cash. The prosecution stated that Storm had lied when he had told Bitmart's lawyer that he could not recover the funds because he could not control the pools, but he could control the Tornado Cash protocol as a whole. A lie, the government says, which was told to distance himself from criminal acts. Defendant has been telling the court of public opinion and this court of law that he does not control the Tornado Cash protocol. When we saw a trial, that's not true. Attorney Ben Arad, speaking for the prosecution, said, "It's hard to think of another explanation of why the defendant would stick to the story so obviously untrue, other than because he was trying to pull the wool over someone's eyes." Even worse, Arad went on to suggest that it was in fact Tornado Cash which transferred the funds, laying out a hypothetical scenario in which someone runs a criminal business, instructs a third person to wire the money to a particular bank account via email in exchange for a fee. Is he not engaged in unlicensed money transmitting? Of course he is. He's transferring money from one place to another. And so what Tornado Cash did was a lot more than just writing an email, and he had the technical details to back such a claim up. On the deposit side, he argued, it gave instructions to the depositor's wallet. The wallet wasn't just a conduit, it was an instrumentality of Tornado Cash and creating that transfer. On the withdrawal side, it's even clear that Tornado Cash is the one making the transfer because there, it's the relayer itself that writes on the blockchain, adding that it was Tornado Cash's infrastructure with a Tornado Cash relayer, which is part of the cohort operating Tornado Cash for the purpose of transferring money from one place to another for a profit, that was conducting these withdrawals. So that's like the crux of their argument, is basically saying that because they created this service, even though they're not actually controlling it, because the service exists, they're not doing things to stop these laundering from happening. That is ridiculous. It's even more ridiculous that they're having this in the Southern District of New York, as I just explained. It's just such overreach, but this has been basically the argument since the beginning. The next section is an action, a crime. Klein points out that Tornado Cash at its inception was not criminal, or at least the government hasn't argued otherwise. There's no evidence, for example, that it was developed in order to facilitate the commission of crimes. There's no evidence that people sat in the room and said, let's build a better mousetrap specifically for criminals. Cryptocurrency mixer is legal. That government's agreed with that. Concluding that the government can't argue and isn't going to argue that running a cryptocurrency mixer itself is illegal. At the same time, Klein said that the government is basing much of their arguments around actions that the developers should have taken, such as implementing a user registry, KYC. That's just really a negligence case. Finally disagree. The government has made very clear that they're not holding your client liable for the inaction, but for affirmative conduct in which he engaged. If you're going to talk to me about negligence, I'm probably not going to listen to you. However, Failla later clarified that she may ultimately side with the defense, that the government's theories on affirmative conduct do not suffice. She just wasn't hearing this particular issue today, later adding that internal communications do show that Storm and his team were concerned about criminal liability. Whether their concerns actually bear out to criminal liability may be a different issue. Wasn't not operating a thing the other side of operating a thing? Failla asked, perplexed. Well, I think the nuances do matter here, the prosecution responded. And just before that, Failla also said that there's just a fundamental dispute about whether the trial evidence, inaction, or culpable inaction, or negligent conduct, or willful misconduct, to which the government confirmed, that is not arguing that Storm did anything illegal by developing or running Tornado Cash. But is the government arguing that Storm committed a crime in not shutting down Tornado Cash? That's one way that the defendant and his co-conspirators could have avoided committing a crime, said the prosecution. And the last section here, which I'm not going to read, it kind of just points out this hypocrisy where, yes, Tornado Cash wasn't illegal, except it was illegal. Like what? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So basically the government's trying to have it both ways, and hopefully this is getting through to the judge. This is ridiculous that we have to have, this boomer decide everything, who's never used cryptocurrency, probably has no idea how these things even really work that well. She's clearly very confused, and we just got to have our fingers crossed that this is getting through, because, it's egregious that this case is even happening. Okay, we're going to have a couple short news bits. I'm going to tell a little story about North Korea hackers, and then we're going to go super chats. So a couple more things left. First, the Monero shame list. So I made a YouTube video about the Monero shame list. There is now a simplex chat, which you can join. Please do. Like, if you're like really interested in this stuff and you want to help out and like convince businesses to use Monero, we really can use your help, because I'm not like on top of this working my ass off on it, really. I made it, but we need other people to step up, because I can't just do this all the time, right? So please join, get involved. Let's try to get some sites back. So we're still building the site. We're still improving. Go to Simplex, to the chat. I'll leave a link down below, and we'd love to have you. So that's the first thing. Next up, Bisq. There was an exploit of the Bisq protocol that happened, and I'm not sure if this will impact Haveno at all. I don't think it will, and I'm not really entirely sure what happened. So let's read the tweet thread here. On May 1st, Bisq v1 had experienced an exploit in its trade protocol that allowed an attacker to drain a portion of available offers. The impact was limited to open offers that were actively taken by the attacker over the last 12 hours. Funds held in users' Bisq Bitcoin wallets were not affected. As an immediate mitigation, an emergency mechanism was activated to disable trading by setting the required trading version to 2.0, a version that does not exist. This effectively prevents the attacker from continuing the exploit. The attack appears to have started on in the early hours on May 1st. The development team is continuing to investigate the full extent of the damage. Users with trades initiated on or after that are advised to open mediation by selecting the trade and pressing Ctrl+O. A mediator will assess whether the trade was affected. Preliminary investigation indicates that the attacker exploited a missing validation tech using a modified client. The team is working to reliably reproduce the issue and verify a fix. Once confirmed, a hotfix will be released based on the latest stable version. In parallel, a comprehensive security review is being conducted to identify any related or additional vulnerabilities. And it goes on. For affected users, reimbursement options are being evaluated. Bisq recognizes that both the exploit and a consequent response are critical to its integrity and is dedicating all available resources to finding a solution that helps restore confidence. Bisq 2, with the Bisq Easy Trade protocol, is not affected. It is a separate code base with a fundamentally different protocol design. So yeah, Bisq, they updated. They have a new protocol. You can still use the old one, but the old one, the exploit occurred on. So if you're using the Bisq 2, you're fine. Bisq will continue to provide updates, and Bisq sincerely apologizes for the impact this incident has had on its users and is fully committed to addressing both the root cause and its consequences. Yeah, so I'm on their Twitter now. It doesn't look like they have any updates yet, so it looks like they're still working on it. But yeah, if you're using Bisq, heads up. You probably know if you were using it. That's unfortunate, though. That's a good response, though. I think they're on top of it. They're clearly... they're not talking about a poop shoot like with Litecoin. Oh, boy. Fucking God. Okay. Last thing here for Monero is that on Wednesday, May 6th, at block 2,997,100, the Monero fcmp++ and caret beta stressnet will hard fork from the current testnet. On Thursday, Monero Talk will host core developer and Monero Research Lab researcher Justin Berman, who has led the implementation of fcmp++ and caret over the past 2 years. So tune into that. That should be a good one. Doug's always getting these interviews, so hopefully that goes well. We're getting close. I know these audits are happening, but this is the next step in that direction. I really need to make like a YouTube video on how to download these things. I'm sure that would be helpful for people. All right. Last thing so last week, obviously there was that North Korea hack that happened. I just want to read a little story about what happened on April 1st when Drift was hacked. So Drift is a Solana-based decentralized exchange that experienced an attack 6 months in the making, and attributing it with medium confidence to a North Korean state-sponsored hacking group dubbed UNC4736, which is also tracked under the cryptonymous Apple Juice, Citrine Sleet, Golden Colima, and Gleaming Pisces. They're fucking creative over there, huh? Jeez. Okay, so this is how the attack likely unfolded. This is via the Hacker News. Drift, which is working with law enforcement and forensic partners to piece together the sequence of attacks that led to the hack, said it was the target of a structured intelligence operation that required months of planning. Starting in or about fall 2025, individuals posing as a quantitative trading company approached Drift contributors at a major cryptocurrency conference and international crypto conferences under the pretext of integrating the protocol. It has since emerged that this was a deliberate approach, where members of the trading group approached and built rapport with specific Drift contributors at various major industry conferences that took place in several countries over a period of 6 months. The individuals who appeared in person were not North Korean nationals, Drift explained. The threat actors operating at this level are known to deploy third-party intermediaries to conduct face-to-face relationship building. They even said North Koreans. That's pretty cool. Who they said? To get the Ruskies? Were they involved? Who'd they send? That's diabolical because they knew, like, okay, we can't approach them. There's too much heat on the North Koreans. So they got some third-party intermediaries. It goes on to say they were technically fluent, had verifiable professional backgrounds, and were familiar with how Drift operated. A Telegram group was established upon the first meeting, and what followed were months of conversations about trading strategies and potential vault integrations. These interactions are typical of how trading firms interact and onboard with Drift. Then, sometime between December 2025 and January 2026, the group onboarded an ecosystem vault on Drift, a step that required filling out a form with strategy details. As part of this process, the individuals are said to have engaged with multiple contributors, asking them detailed and informed product questions while depositing more than $1 million of their own funds, $1 million. This, Drift said, was a calculated move designed to build a functioning operational presence inside the ecosystem of Drift, with integration conversations continuing with the contributors through February and March 2026. This includes sharing links to the projects, tools, and applications that the company claimed to be developing. The possibility of these interactions with the trading group may have acted as the initial infection pathway, assumed significance in the wake of the April 1st hack, but as Drift revealed, their Telegram chats and malicious software have been deleted right around the time the attack took place. It's suspected that there were two primary attack vectors. One contributor may have been compromised after cloning a code repository shared by the group as part of efforts to deploy a front end for their vault. A second contributor was persuaded into downloading a wallet product via Apple's test flight to beta test the app. The repository-based intrusion vector is assessed to have involved a malicious Microsoft Visual Studio Code project that weaponizes the tasks.json file to automatically trigger the execution of malicious code upon entering the project in the IDE by using the run-on folder open option. It's worth knowing that this technique has been adopted by North Korean threat actors associated with the contagious interview campaign since December 2025, prompting Microsoft to introduce new security controls in VS Code versions 1.109 and 1.11 to prevent unintended execution of tasks when opening a workspace. The investigation has shown so far that the profiles used in the third-party targeted operation had fully constructed identities, including employment histories, public-facing credentials, and professional networks. The people Drift contributors met in person appeared to have spent months building profiles, both personal and professional, that could withstand scrutiny during a business or counterparty relationship. How fucking crazy is that, man? That's crazy. The article goes on. There's a whole bunch more stuff that they did. But this is how advanced North Korea is. I mean, that's fucking insane. They hired like a bunch of people to make up a fake company with extensive backgrounds from a completely different country. Worked into them. They had a whole pitch for an investment business. They made a product. It seems made up, but like it actually happened. Holy fuck. I'm not fucking with the North Koreans. So anyways, when you hear these stories about like North Korea doing these hacks and stuff, it's not just like they ran a malicious code. This took time. Millions of dollars in investment. And it worked. They went away with $285 million, which they've already laundered. They get this money. They turn it into stable coins. They launder it through China. It's gone. It's gone. All right. We're now at the end of the program to the Super Chats. Everyone's favorite part of the show. xmrchat.com/Xenu. We got 3 this week. First one is from Spend Key Idea, who gives 0.01 XMR. Thank you. And they say, I had an idea for subscription payments. Do you know of any products or projects, that have custom spend keys where the wallet owner can create spend keys with a defined amount, frequency, and duration? The wallet owner can then give that spend key to vendors. Well, it would require a cryptocurrency with programmability. So, I mean, I think, like, wouldn't that work with Ethereum, right? Or, like, a smart contract? That sounds like a smart contract. This is not my wheelhouse, by the way. I don't think it would work with Monero, though, because you don't have programmability. And so if you give a spend key, then it's a spend key. I do know, though, that there was a subscription wallet for Monero. Yeah, there is a Monero subscriptions wallet that enables automatic recurring payments in XMR without middlemen or fees. So I would look that up. Because it looks like it's got some work being done. The guy who's doing it, I recognize this guy on Twitter, Luke Profits, and it looks like they are still working on it. So I would say check that out. Maybe that's something. And yeah, I mean, like what you're describing though, like Ethereum, for example, you should be able to make a smart contract that would do something like that. I don't know if you can do that with. Can you do that with Bitcoin? I don't know. I really have no idea. Good question though. I mean, like the UX for like subscriptions and stuff. I do want to eventually have like some sort of subscription where you can like get more shit from me. This is down the line as I build up my cult, right? I eventually want to have like maybe live stream stuff. I don't know. I want to do some more stuff here. And having like a subscription model that you can just subscribe to would be pretty cool. So I don't know. I don't think that exists yet with Monero. If you're working on it, hit me up because I'd be very interested in trying that out and having content available that way as well. But yeah, I don't know. So I would look into that wallet and smart contracts as well. This next donation is from Enigmatic. We give 0.01676767 XMR. Gracias, Enigmatic. It says, Hola, Xenu. Just wanted to say it was a pleasure to collab with you in translating your manifesto to Spanish. I have a message to all the Anti Moonboy fans out there. Let's appreciate all the content we're getting lately. Send some XMR to the man. Saludos. Well, thank you. That is very kind of you. He translates it, and then he donates. He's out of his mind. I appreciate that, though, man. It's hard. I have to constantly, ask people for donations. But yeah, this is entirely donation run. I mean, that's pretty much it. You can send me anonymous donations through my my Monero address, which is in my profile, or you can appear on the show. And I love XMR Chat. I mean, I've been on this a while. We've had some great super chats, and I think I got the record, right? I have to have the record on here. Maybe Doug has me beat. But yeah, gracias, Enigmatic. I really appreciate it. And the manifesto came out great, so I really appreciate all the help that you have done. So next up, lastly, we have a donation from Subversion Stopper, who gives 0.0144 XMR. Thank you. He says, glad the #1 privacy podcast RSS feed and website are finally back. So let me pause. See, this is what I mean. I've been getting these People were fucking pissed, man. I got some, like, basically people threatening me. I'm like, all right, I'll fix the RSS feed. I didn't even see this before I recorded, too. That's funny. He goes on to say, I think it's time to get Xenu to the top 3 in XMR chat sirs. I've been asking the XMR chat dev if we can do a super chat competition week or something. Oh, I like that. Let's get XMR chat to the next level, baby. All right, well, thanks for the donation. I definitely am in the top 3. He doesn't list it by the amount that's been donated historically. You can quickly confirm that, like look at how much I've received. I think the guy, Fiat Demise, shout out. He's the guy who's created this platform. I think he like picks the order of it. So at least that's what I believe. I would like to see a leaderboard though. That'd be kind of cool. I would imagine Doug is number 1. Doug's probably number 1. I think I'm number 3, if not 2. Doug's probably got me beat. The only thing about Doug though is he takes donations like that are like less than a cent. I said no to that from the beginning. You gotta give me at least a couple bucks, man. You know what I mean? So for the minimum donation right now, it's $4. Actually, that's kind of high, but keeps out the pores. You know what I mean? Keeps out the pores. But it improves the quality because I don't want like low effort stuff. You know. Okay, guys, I'm wrapping up the show here. Thanks for the support. xmrchat.com/Xenu. I already said that a bunch of times. We're done with Actress, the latest musician, so we're gonna move on to something else. I think I don't know what I'm gonna pick. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So we're gonna have different sounding music to close out these shows. And yeah, all right. Well, I'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.